Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. More Birthright here as we wind our way through the remaining Voss realms. Today we're taking a look at the last of the NPC realms before we move to the non-human ones. And this is an interesting one because of all things, it's essentially a Rjurik realm here nestled between the Brecht and the Voss. So let's just jump in here. So this is Hjorig. It's neutral, sparsely populated, but not overly wild. The provinces of Hjorig provide a buffer between Vosgard and the Brecht overlook states. The Jarl of Hjorig, Einar Couple, is a level 7 fighter, decent bloodline, neutral evil though. Flouts Rjurik tradition by governing the law of the land as its sole monarch. Clan leaders serve as his courtiers, but this jealous lord hardly rewards them with any responsibility or significant influence. On the temple side, the Tor of Lirorn, a less than traditional Rjurik temple, looks after the woodsmen and trappers of Hjorig, and a few provinces of the Dark Temple of Inogu, a humanoid deity worshipped by the Gnolls of the Fells, has gained some influence of all things. On the guild side, chafing at the restrictive law of the land, Borg Hedson, level 5 ranger, minor bloodline there, neutral good, and his traders keep the passes for honest trade open. Though many of the guild holdings survive the winters by foraging in Brecht, Voss, and Gnoll territories, Borg is attempting to set up a legitimate lumber and trapping business. And then for sources, until a few years ago, a wizard of Anwiran heritage known as Tiandra Failstan, level 7 wizard and neutral, controlled several sources in Hjorig. However, she disappeared, and her holdings have gone uncontrolled ever since, so good adventure hook there. Provinces, the Jarl rules nearly all the provinces of Hjorig personally, not trusting his clan chiefs to rule in his name. This has resulted in some defections and some losses. The province of Koril rebelled and has no current ruler, and the Gnolls of the Fells control Njorl and Kobar. So not a unified realm here. So we got a fair few of these provinces, but you can kind of tell what's going on in those, right? So definitely some issues. So, and with the disappearance of the wizard, that leaves all the sources open. So again, that could be part of the adventure hook there too. And seeing if one of the many nearby rival wizards is looking to maybe claim some sources. Now, the regency here, 39 generated, only 2 accumulated. He has spent more than a little regency just trying to maintain his realm. He does gain 6 RP from his rulership of Wolfgard, though. So, something to keep in mind there. But yeah, given how poorly run and organized the realm is, makes sense that he's really just burning regency just to keep it from completely collapsing. Treasury is also minuscule. The recent rebellion in Koril and the takeover of 2 provinces by the Gnolls have drained the treasury. Now the army is a little bit of a standing army, but not much. A lot of the troops defected rather than fight their kinsmen in Koril, but the Jarl did keep some troops loyal, so he's got 2 infantry, 2 scouts, and 2 archers, which in most cases is a solid little core of an army, but it's not going to keep a realm like this together, especially with internal defections and external threats. Now the Jarl inherited the rulership of Hjorig from his father and continues the long dynasty of Rjurik rulers in exile that began nearly 6 centuries ago. He's hardly the finest specimen, though, of Rjurik leadership, and his people are learning that firsthand. Like the Voss realms, Rjurik domains tend to select their leaders based on competency rather than heritage, but Hjorig has always been an exception. Perhaps that is why in one of the many clan wars that racked the Rjurik highlands, after the departure of Anwiran influence, a large group of Rjurik nobles, along with many supporters, was forced to flee for their lives across the Great Bay and inland over the Drakenhours. So, some definite similarities between the Voss realms and then what's going on here. So, and kind of a neat mix and hybrid, and kind of also just a realm that's kind of sandwiched between, again, the Brecht, the Voss, other humanoids, but also has all this stuff going on. So it makes for a really nice little melting pot, but a chaotic one at that. All right, so continuing on. So if any Rjurik folk remember the cause of the separation, they remember that Hjorig's lords favored hereditary over clan vote, centralized rulership over elder speakers, and settlement over migration. These lords fought to keep what they believed to be their traditions, and they lost. They fled the Rjurik lands across the Great Bay and found unexplored lands between Vosgard and Brechtur. Here they settled, ousting the few Brechts and the many creatures in residence. Ever since, Hjorig has been ruled by hereditary leaders, and the lineage is hardly unbent, but has remained unbroken for 6 centuries through wars, rebellions, invasions, and expansions. Each Hjorig noble can trace his or her ancestry back to the fugitives that struggled to civilize this region, and in essentially the same vein, still struggling. The bloodline of Hjorig has thinned somewhat over the past generations. The Jarl, its latest lord, has handsome enough features and a stout enough body, but something is wrong in his attitudes. Brutal and perverted, he has gone against all clan claims to make Hjorig a reflection of his own power. The realm has risen up against his will twice, and will do so again if nothing can be done against him. And that could be some fertile ground for adventurers too, maybe sent from nearby realms, or just happen to be passing through and seeing what's going on there. And this could be an opportunity for the heroes, the characters, to start building up a real rebellion, and then maybe eventually taking over, especially if they have a bloodline. Could be sort of an epic campaign to come to rule a realm and right the ship on this. Other important NPCs, the Tor of Lororn, Tor Elke, level 5 priest, minuscule bloodline there, neutral good, is the Jarl's closest living relative, his first cousin, and therefore his most dangerous enemy, to his view anyway. He refuses to believe that the young Tor, born in Wolfgard and educated in the ways of Lororn and the Woodlands, does not desire his throne. Certainly many of the Jarl's advisors, eager to fuel his paranoia for their own purposes, have pointed to the Tor as a possible leader of the rebels. They may push her into the role unwilling. Already, agents of the Jarl have caused the destruction of the Temple of Lororn in Electra, and are speaking out against the Tor in other provinces. The Tor may have some unexpected allies, though. One of the clan chiefs, a half-Brecht, half-Rjurik man named Otto Thorson, level 7 ranger, worships at the Temple of Lororn in Corel, and may have been partially responsible for the rebellion there. Handsome and affectable, Otto's heritage is all that stands in the way of making him a candidate for regency. Related distantly to the current Jarl's family, he lacks only a bloodline for his claim to be valid. Already, the peasants of Corel, Bjorlin, and Ustuheim look to him for protection against their own regent. That could be something, too, where maybe you come to the employ of Otto, and maybe somehow he is looking to acquire a bloodline, too, so there's ways to do that. The Donic Borg Fjorin. Also, he could, maybe throw his support behind someone worthy that does have a bloodline, but you always have to be wary of blood theft, too. Moving on, the Donic Borg Fjorin, regent of the Borg Hedson traders, would just as soon keep out of politics. He wars against his Jarl's outlandish attitudes only when putting forth his ideas about trade and commerce. 3 times now he has set up trade routes with the Brechts of Gravesmuhl and Drakkenward, and thrice the Jarl has spoiled his plans. Still, the Donic is a traditionalist and refuses to rebel against his clan lord. Some whisper that Einar amuses himself by seeing how far he can push the guildmaster before the man breaks. Now, a description of the realm. Hilly and rocky, but not altogether barren, Hjorig could be a fine realm if not for its neighbors and its own region. Made defensible by nature and its early settlers, Hjorig's people have repelled invasions by the Voss, the Gnolls, the Brechts, and all sorts of strange creatures of the Drakhenauer Mountains, and turned their cold but less than frigid land into something of a northern garden spot. Over the past few generations, however, the Kuppel line has degenerated, and the realm has turned more and more wild. In a few more decades, if nothing's done, it could just fall completely into chaos and anarchy, and that could be, again, a sort of a goal of the players in a campaign, is to right the ship again and keep the realm from disintegrating. And if that means maybe getting rid of the current ruler and that bloodline once and for all, well, that happens. The capital, originally a temporary hold to guard the Rulsfeg Pass, Tromsø grew into a city over time. It's now a medium-sized castle surrounded by many fortified buildings, with Borg Fjorden making Tromsø the center of his major holding. Some commerce exists within the keep. Other sites, the hill fort of Corel is a fortified keep high in the northern mountains of the province. It looks down over the Rulsfeg Pass, and on a clear day, watchers from the fort can see the capital of Tromsø. Sometimes the Jarl imagines he can see the hiding place of the Corel rebels from his high seat in Tromsø's main tower, and said that they spent hours raving and cursing its existence. Allies, thanks to the Jarl's sociopathic tendencies, he doesn't really have any allies. Both Gravesmuhl and Drakkenward have entertained trade agreements with the exiled Rjurik, but they've grown tired of broken promises. Some say the Jarl fancies approaching the Hag for support of all things, for support against the rebels, but even his closest advisors don't believe he's that crazy. Yeah, I mean, that would be sort of, I think, the straw for even some of his actual supporters if somehow it's found that the hag has gained influence over him. Because when we get to the description of her, we've already done her realm, but when we get to the description of her, yeah, that's just, I mean, and if you're going to ally with an Anche, right, especially one like that, you're just begging for destruction. Enemies, there's plenty, right? Always. Hjorig has fought war after war after war against the Knoll Fells, and another may start soon. Its chief enemies, however, come from within, as we've kind of entertained. But as with everything here with the boss so far, right, there's always deadly neighbors about, and if it's not an Anche, the Knolls do come up a lot as a major external threat. Now, again, one thing I like about this book, since it was one of the later releases, is that we get these little DM secret snippets, since there wasn't ever like a supplement guide like that. So, a hotbed of rebellion and betrayal, Hjorig is a storied realm and worthy of note. The Tor of Lororn has tired of the Jarl's crazed actions. She's secretly made a pact with Otto Thorson. If he can find a willing donor or can somehow capture the Jarl, she will perform a ceremony of investiture to give Otto a bloodline. So, bam, there you go. One of the cooler, unique things of the setting, but also a dangerous one at that. But yes, bloodlines can be transferred, but also other rulers can unseat you by being invested in the land. The Jarl has seized several priests of Lororn and demanded that the Tor yield herself to him, or they will die horribly. He's also threatened to use his few loyal troops to reduce the Tor's holdings throughout Hjorig, as he did in Lectra. No one knows what the Jarl has planned for the Tor, but a few believe a marriage, violating the blood and family laws because of their close kinship, may be on his mind. So again, the guy is clearly insane, or at least getting there. But that could be another one where maybe the goal of the rebels here is to really start just building an actual rebel force, start sabotaging the Jarl at different areas, finally just maybe working on propaganda and increasing his paranoia to the point where he does something foolish, and that maybe gets the people to completely turn against him, and maybe even loosen up a few of those still currently loyal troops and maybe getting some to join to the other side. Some say the Jarl destroyed Tiandra Phaelestan rather than risk her powers falling into the hands of the rebels. A few even believe the Tor of Lororn, backed by the fear that most Rjurik have of wizardly magic, assisted in her destruction. A very few believe Tiandra survived the attempt, but hid in Wolfguard, aided by the wolf himself, and abandoned her source holdings in an effort to appear dead. Whatever the case, Tiandra, or someone as like her as her sister, has returned to Hjorig. Some say she helped the Knolls of the Fells capture 2 of Hjorig's provinces, while others believe she may have sided with the Coral rebels and made a difference. Rumors are flying all over the land, and fear of wizardly magic and revenge is in the air. And that's a great set of adventure hooks, and however the DM wants to take it, there's plenty of opportunity one way or another there, and could be kind of an ongoing mystery as the players have to start piecing together clues. So that is Hjorig in a nutshell, guys. An interesting realm, again, a lot of cultural mixes there between Brecht, Rjurik, and Voss, with the external threats as well. But then here, a clear kind of set of goals and adventures and campaign ideas as far as maybe unseating a crazed ruler before he becomes a bigger threat. So let us know, guys, if you've played with in the realm of Hjorig here, and how that's gone for you, and what type of campaign ideas you could glean from that. So hit us up in the comments. Be sure to like and subscribe, and thanks for watching. We'll be back with more Birthright.